I want to emphasize today, especially how to negotiate a raise, because a lot of the times the way we go for a raise is, hey, we've been here for like a couple of years now. Can I get 3 times X on my money? We don't know how to quite negotiate for a raise. We just sit there and almost beg for one, like, hey, I've been here for a while, I've been doing, everything, I've been playing nicely or whatever. But in reality, you got to think like a CEO. You got to think like a business owner, right? What is going to get you to give somebody a raise? Especially if the money is scarce and it's a startup. If it's a startup company and it's really, really small, there might not be a budget for that. There might not be anything left over to give. How do you look at someone and go, this person is deserving for a raise? Well, for one, from a business owner's perspective, I invest in people. If I look at this person and say, you know what? Right now, I can see that they're really hardworking, but they improve and bring value. They, maybe their output is better, or maybe they do things faster, or they do the work of 2 people into one. It justifies the raise, because I think if I keep this person around and I pay them now, the work that they do now will also bring in more money later. That's what I think about. So for example, let's say we have 2 guys that build this GoPro, right? So one person makes this GoPro and it takes them 1 hour, and the other person makes this in 30 minutes. So in 1 hour, David, he could make 2 GoPros. But John, he makes 1 GoPro, right? If John came up to me and David came up to me, and then they both been working the same amount of years, and they said, hey, can I get a raise? Unfortunately, I'm gonna go toward David, because he has doubled the output of the average. So I know that David is worth more. And it sucks that we look at humans as products like this. But this is the workplace, because what we're providing is a skill set. And he is more skilled. Objectively, David is more skilled than John, because David can create 2 more products than John can. So David is deserving of more money. And I think that's how you got to see it. Like, a lot of the times people don't teach us what is value, what is all this stuff. Like, how do you add value to a company? How do you make it more profitable? And how do you even negotiate a raise? Like, it's such an uncomfortable conversation to have. You go in and you're like, I need more money. Like, it feels weird, right? So first off, I want you to see your value. And the value of it is trying to objectively show how much you've affected this company positively, right? Maybe you're not in a department that brings in more money. Like for me, when I was in the warehouse, I'm not in sales. It's easy to negotiate when you're in sales. You can say clearly, hey, guess what? I've sold the most machines out of everyone here. That's why they have commission. And that's why the sales guys get paid so damn much, right? But what about like working in the warehouse, or working in the kitchen, or working behind something? Like, you can't really sell. Like, your position is in a place where it doesn't really affect the finances. So how do you show them your value? Well, what I do is I show improvement, or how much money they save because my involvement. I can show them, hey, before I came along, it took 3 people to do the job. So that means 3 people being paid this much an hour, this is how much you're spending. Now that those 3 people are gone and it's just me, look, you're saving this much money. And it took 3 people to do the job. So for example, let's say it took $30 an hour, because all these guys were being paid $10 an hour, right? I'm getting paid the same amount, $10 an hour. But in the last 6 months, since these 3 guys are now gone and it's just me, hey, I could be getting $40 an hour if I absorbed everything, right? But I'm not gonna do that. Can you double me? All I'm asking is for double for doing the job of 3 people. And a lot of the times, I think if you can negotiate that, they can see that and go, yeah, that's true. Because if you quit, obviously we gotta hire 3 more guys, because no one can really do what you do by yourself. Another way to do it is to show what you plan to do, your goals, and how it's been doing so far. So you don't have to wait a whole entire year. Let's say you have a whole plan and you have it structured and it's been 3 months out of the whole year and you took notes on how you're gonna make this system better. Let's say because of your involvement and because of your plan, you save the company every single month thousands of dollars, right? And you can go back and argue that, hey, I saved you guys thousands of dollars. For doing that, can I get some thanks and compensation? Well, you don't have to say thanks, but can you say, hey, by doing that, can I get a piece of what I saved? Because you were gonna drain $5,000 a month, but because I saved you that, can I just get maybe $500 a month? When you go into the situation like this, it really helps them say yes, and it really gives them a better case to tell the business owners. A lot of the times, you can't shoot the messenger. A lot of the times, they are also not as business-minded, and you're basically running circles around them. There's been times when I walked in, and I'm talking to HR, and they're completely clueless of my value. They're completely clueless of business. They're really, really like dense. And they're like textbook people, right? So textbook people, they only follow the rules. They can't think outside the box. If they're told one thing, they don't really see the value. Like, for example, if you told one of these guys like, hey, make sure the budget is $1,000. Fine. That's all they're gonna do is focus on the number. They're not gonna see like, oh, wait a minute. I know it's a general rule to spend $1,000, but if I spend $2,000, we could make $10,000. They don't think like that. And they don't go back and say, hey boss, I know that my limit was $1,000, but here's my pitch. If there's $2,000 that we spend, we could bring back $10,000. They won't think this way. They just do as they're told. So sometimes you have to think ahead, and this is where becoming a leader really helps out, is you create the plan for them and you make them feel like they thought of it themselves. This is pretty advanced, but if you work with them, right? If you're sitting here and you're like, oh, help me, they're not gonna do it. But if you could sit there and say, hey, check it out, Bob, I get it. You might not have a big budget. This is the raise that you can give me, but this is the pitch that you can make. With my involvement, this is my plan. This is what I'm set out to do. I'm only asking for this much extra a month to do this plan. But if we do this, we'll save so much more money. Can you submit this to the higher ups? If they don't listen, if they can't, don't worry, because there's always someone above them with a higher pay grade that might listen. And if you really, really believe in your plan and you know that it can help the company, I think the bosses or the top guys would love it if you would bypass the idiots and get it done and actually ask them, because they'll be like, dude, thank you. We love it when people think for us and do all the dirty work, because we're so busy that we need someone on the ground floor that sees this stuff every single day and that could come up with a great solution. And this is how you get raises. This is how you get promotions. This is how you get noticed in the company. When you add value, when you create solutions. Also, this is how you get rewarded. And you gotta make sure that you don't just have ideas, but you have actions and you've been doing the actions. If you find things like this is where it really counts. So from this point on, I want you to get out of your head, how you get a raise is not how long you stay at a company. It's not how you've been on time every day. Well, it's important to be on time, but like those things are the bare minimums. What really counts is if you rescue the people above you. And also, if you get denied, don't take it personal. You know, in a lot of cases, it might just be the company and they don't have the money for it, or they don't have the budget right now at this time, or they might be spending the budget on other things. It's really, really interesting how companies work. Some companies have millions of dollars, but they're all dead broke and they're barely surviving. For example, the company that I worked at, they were shipping out $3 million worth of merchandise every day. And that made me believe they were rich as shit. But I heard from the accounting department that they were actually in the red zone, meaning they're in debt. So how can a company that's making $3 million a day be in debt? This is normal. In business, it happens all the time. There are companies out there that are like major corporations, car manufacturers, whatever, that need to get bailed out because they're just dead broke. And how do they keep operating? Loans. Just like a human being can be in debt with credit cards and all that stuff, this happens to them too. So don't take it personal if you get denied or whatever. There's just so many working elements inside of a business, and sometimes it's just not the right time. But at the end of the day, doing this will just increase your abilities and skill set. So there's really no loss. It's only wins here.